welcome to Magical Mondays for the week of the 23rd of February. I don't know why my head blanked like that. This week we talked to some fairies, and this is my channeling notes, but they're really chicken scratchy, as you can see, so I'm just reading them off for you, because I like to channel beforehand, and then just basically to make the video a lot shorter. Other than that, we'd be here for hours. So, this week we were talking to fairies. That's what I was channeling in, and they were really looking at rejuvenation. So there was a conjunction means an alignment of planets. That's like the strongest alignment you can have. Like they're meeting at like the zero. They're blended. They're forming a new energy. There was a conjunction that only happens like every 300 odd years between Saturn and Neptune. That's breaking illusion. If you guys have been having some things in your life where you're like, what is going on? And nothing makes any sense, you can blame that. It's actually seeking to expose something in us, and that's really what the fairies talked to me about today. The first thing that they're really wanting to advise is the lessons are in and cut the weight. So what we needed to learn, we've done that. That was the year of the snake. We've done it. We've learned it. But it's still at play in our lives in a way we're not seeing. We might know we can't have unequal relationships. We might know we might have like problems in our friendships or dynamics. Like we might know it, but we haven't cleaned it, not completely. And so that's why these illusions are coming through, along with Saturn's intensity, to kind of clear it up and make you be accountable to what it is you really need to change right now. And it's not a comfortable process by any means, which is why they've brought in what they've brought in this week. What they would like for, like, their highest order on what they want people to do right now is process them from a detached lens, create actionable steps, and get to work on that. Lists, organizations, clearing it out, things are going to get really, really fast. We need to streamline. They're saying, like, no BS. They were very firm on that. And fairies are such, like, light, loving, fun creatures that I was like, what did you say? Like, they can be tricksters, 100%, but they were very, like, no, the foot is down. That's what's being done. A lot of you may be looking at self-accountability, like, where you might not be meeting your needs, where you're letting other people kind of tower over what your needs are, or where you're needing to kind of readjust the balance in the relationships in your life, in your work life, wherever that may be, because it's not quite calibrated the way it needs to be. So if there's anything that's occupying a lot of mental space, like let's say you aren't eating well because your fridge is a mess, like handle it. This week is the time to handle it. All of those things are taking a lot of mental space from you. All of those things are really making everything feel sticky and heavy and difficult and distorted. And because of that, you have less energy to process what's actually happening. And you're kind of just like floating in the mud this week. So this is where they really have brought through a lot of information on activators. Now, we talk about activators every week, but for those of you who are new here, an activator is something that can bring in certain spiritual coding. We always have the tools we need. We just don't think of them. And the more that I do this series and I get these activators from my team, the more that I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I always like to recap at the end of the week, and last week certainly made sense. So let's look at what this week's are. Broomsticks and scissors are the symbols. If you carry around, maybe like if you have a pin that's a broomstick, or let's say you have like, like those are just the symbols. And the symbols, let's say if you're struggling with a relationship, you could write out a letter to that person and draw some scissors at the bottom. You could mimic doing one of these with your hands to kind of cut through energy when you're thinking about something. You could do one of these to mime a broomstick. The energy codes in those things, I know that sounds whack, are really powerful right now because it's all about sweeping out, cutting the cords, cutting the threads, moving things out. Because there's too much in. There's too much going on in personal lives right now that we don't have room for once this energy starts moving. There's too much complexity. It needs to come down into simplicity. So the crystals that they mentioned, and I don't have any of these with me, otherwise I would show you them, but rainbow calcite or anything with like rainbow, anything aura coated could be really good. There's a need to be in the prism energy of being able to hold a lot of different perspectives and see purity too. It's like everything is a spectrum. Someone might be acting crappy towards you, but it's because they're in pain. How do you look at that from a higher vantage point? Well, you'd use something like a rainbow. You'd use something like a prism. So if you don't understand something this week, Stare at an image of a rainbow. I'm dead serious. Watch videos of rainbows. Look at your crystals that have like, optic calcite, things like that have like little rainbows within them. That will really help you. There's information in that. It's divine coding. Other things that they mentioned, the colors this week are my favorites, pastel green and pink, and purple. I obviously really love pastel purple, case in point. But we want those colors for a specific reason. We want luck and we want refinement. And I think it's funny that that's coming up like towards March, obviously. But we want luck, refinement, and positivity. If you are really struggling to see a situation clearly, wear white. There's a reason there is white all around my table that I channel at here at my house. And I usually like to film here because everything is really set up for that. It's set up for that purity. And so white crystals, white anything, all that white brings in divine purity. It helps you filter out what is not necessary. So that's really big this week. Now, I always like to talk about a scent of the week because I'm a perfume girl. They mentioned sweet like candy. So if you like Kaoli, Candy Rock Sugar is a great example of this. You want something that's like almost too sweet. Like almost like, I think like Sweet Tooth by Sabrina Carpenter could be a good example here too. So they want like sweetness. The effect we need right now is sweetening. If you make sweetening jars, that would be a great thing to do right now. You need sweetening. What we need is to clear out, but we also need to come back from difficulty. Hence that rejuvenation. And a lot of us are just feeling like completely hopeless right now. So that's really needed. So the sugary sweet, but they also mentioned lemon citrus. So anything citrus, like grapefruit, citrus, like lemon, orange, sweet orange, like anything like that would be really useful right now. You want to imagine you're coating yourself in sugar, or if you're spraying a lemon perfume, like there's one from Kaoli, I forget what it is. It's in their summer line. It's a lemon one. It's like insert name here in a bottle. I just can't remember which one it is, but it's lemon and it's delightful. But anything that is that like clean, anything citrusy, because citrus cuts. That's really what we want. We want cutting and purification. Hence the scissors and the white. It's all cutting, purification. So we are looking for that. We need sweet and fresh this week. For the tarot card symbol of the week, they actually gave me a few and they didn't really want to decide on one, so I'll give you the few that they gave. The Devil, but in reversal. And the Devil in reversal is all releasing limitations. That's the energy. They don't want you to be bound by it. They want you to think outside the box to let it go. The Hanged Man, again, releasing perspective, changing perspective. They brought up the Hierophant. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Someone at me. They brought up the Hierophant, like mastery, spiritual mastery, finding a higher perspective, seeking out higher counsel if you need it, connecting to your spirit team. They also brought on the Emperor, being very in your power. And it also had a lot to do with discernment. So that would be like King of Swords. But, like that's just something that's coming through as well now that I'm reading this back is discernment. So those are the tarot card symbols that you could be looking at this week. Now, for food, they brought through cleansers. Like, like the tasty drinks at Starbucks that we all like. The refreshers. Things like that. Anything sweet with citrus. Or you could go the tea route. You could do green tea. You could do peppermint, sweet orange. I used to really drink lemon cayenne cleanse from David's Tea. That would be perfect. And the animal of this week is owls. Again, on that discernment, rising above things, seeing the truth in things. Now, here's their messages. Pardon me. Sweetness is needed because so many of us are feeling lost and kind of done right now. Sweetness and luck again. They're bringing up luck again. They want sunshine. If we can be, dragged outside, that would be great. Grounding. We need to let everything simmer down. It's been a very intense time. This is a moment in time where things are purposely unclear, so expect things to not make any sense. And they're also not exposing the people in your life. They're exposing you. I'm so sorry. They're exposing you. Whatever situations we're looking at in our life right now, the lens is on us. And I want to say that really clearly. Where are you not dealing with your stuff? Where are you not seeing something clearly? So there's a lot of self-reflection this week, but any situation where you might be like pointing the finger at somebody else is actually about you. So make sure you reflect on that. Make sure you reflect on what patterns and dynamics might be attracting this in your life, because it's a pattern. You might be like, I'm the victim in this situation, and I'm not taking that away from you. But I am saying that there is something for you to learn about you that is underneath all of this. And that's why the cutting, that's why the scissors, that's why the the purification. There are patterns at play that are causing sabotage in your life and you don't see them. So it's a really powerful week for doing things like releasing distortions, but let's get back to it. So things are purposely unclear to expose something to you about you. They're really asking you to put your weapons down against the other people in your life and stop spiraling because you're getting lost in something. They're asking you to look at you. When have you been here before? Have you been here before with other friendships, relationships, jobs, income? When have you been here before? What happened last time that's the same as this? How could they be echoing each other? What is the thing that you need to learn? There's something deeper, right? There's something deeper going on. Your narratives might be really pushing other people away. And those narratives where you're like, I'll handle it myself, I'll isolate, that's a big clue as to what patterns are being expressed in you right now. So be gentle and kind with yourself and the people in your life right now, because it's almost giving like Spider-Man in an alleyway holding the pew-pews with 3 of them. You know that meme? It's giving that. It's giving like everyone is pointing at each other and no one is pointing back at themselves when really it's us. This is the last leg. Remember that we just passed the year of the snake and we cleared out all the things that didn't serve. Maybe there's some things in us we need to look at and clear. So, to be the voice of preachiness and rudeness, I'm going to tell you that. And I'm going to be honest, because this is for me too. This is really like what's coming through this week. There should be lots of crown chakra clearing and third eye clearing right now. Anything you can do around just like scrubbing it out. There's so much heaviness and distortion that we're not seeing things clearly. So anything you can do around lightness, like bubble baths with like lemon, like there's lemon Epsom salts you can get at Walmart, like something like that. It doesn't have to be expensive. Uncrossing baths, like do the crap out of those. And anything that lets you see things clearly would be chef's kiss right now. They're also mentioning protected sleep. There's a lot of interference and distortion going on. Lots of like signals going like ping, 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 ping and hitting us. So veiling during the day, veiling at night, anything you do to protect yourself in your sleep. And they're asking for like you to drain out your field. So whatever you do to release excess energy, do that like 10 times more this week, because it really is that heavy. I want to be really clear that all the BS that you can't see through is what's blocking you from clarity. It's the energy. It's not you. It is you. It's not the energy outside of you. It's not the people outside of you. We're being blocked from the inside. We're being scrambled. And so sometimes Neptune will really scramble to show you the truth on something. She is the planet of illusions, and that's what she's looking to do. And Saturn's going, hey, you don't get to bypass this. You have to look at the lesson. You have to look at it with honesty. And be willing to admit the thing you don't want to admit about yourself. Be willing to admit that you might sabotage your relationships. Be willing to admit that you might not be fully honest with the people around you. Whatever it is, there's a really big call to look at discernment and where you need to step up right now for yourself. It's not even for other people in your life. You are repairing your relationship with yourself right now. So that's why things like uncrossings can be really powerful right now, because it's hard to understand. Especially when we have this big story we keep repeating about something. Like, oh, every friendship or relationship I have has this patterns. This keeps happening to me. That always happens because what is within you is what reflects outside of you. So that will be triggered. Where do you need boundaries? Where do you need clarity? Where do you need to sit with yourself and find out what's really going on? What is your practice to cut out the noise from everyone else and look with you? How do you get that clarity? What do you normally do to find that? They brought up journaling, self-awareness, clearing out distortions on the daily. There's also meditation groups you can do for this, things like that. I have things within Energy Mastery. It all comes down to love. Where are you meeting love with distrust and resistance? Where are you maybe blocking connections that you need differently in your life? Where are things not so simple? Where are things shades of black and white? Where are you maybe too hard on things, too soft on things? It's really that self-reflection. So let's get into the messages this week. Okay, Spirit, my fairy friends, what do we got to say this week? What are your collective messages for the week ahead? For my lovely collective for Magical Mondays. What do they need to know? Okay, let's start there. Now you'll be able to see things. Exciting. Okay, so we talked about this a lot, but it's really giving from the inside. Like the enemy is in the house. The call is coming from inside the house. That's really what it's giving. And they mentioned this last week. They were talking about water. They were talking about like washing away, moving water through things. That's still prevalent. Remember, these are weekly messages, but they add up to monthly collective messages and time themes and aspects and all that. So anything you can do around healing from the inside. Friendly plug, your friendly neighborhood Reiki master is here for you if you need her. Just saying. You know where to find me if you need to find me. It'll be in the link below. But they're really looking at healing. And again, if you can't find me and you're not local, try Energy Mastery. I've got all sorts of things for this in here. I literally build resources for people to help them with their energy and to help them with their life. Heavy on the life part. So stripping things, breaking down distortions, releasing limiting beliefs, getting the guck off. That's my specialty. So if this is vibing with you and you need some help, the link will be below and there's a 7-day free trial. But healing is highlighted. And especially with softness, sweetness. Like, you know, the colors this week are green and pink. Just saying. And look at the Aries there. How fitting with the current astrology. And the current astrology is the movements into Aries. I'm well aware that the sun is not there, so don't at me. I'm talking about the broader aspects that are actually messing with us right now. Productivity. We don't like this. So I mentioned at the beginning in the channeling, and I always love when they validate things like this, because obviously, like, I'm just reading for you. I don't know what was... The deck is over here. You watch me shuffle it. Anyway. Productivity, to me, it feels like when I look at the energy of this week, if it ran well, it's like there's 7 sprites cleaning your house, scrubbing. It's a great time for spring cleaning. It's a great time for opening the windows. It's a great time for watering your plants and repotting and whatever you need to do. It's a great time to take care, is really what they're getting at. They want you guys to be able to look at what is causing a clog in the process. What part of the process is broken that it's not reaching completion? Like, there's a break in the assembly line, and that's really what they want you to look at. Where are those breaks? What's causing those leaks? What's going on there? So the next piece is, again, with the green and pink, but fertility. Out of the changes you make, out of the clarity, they mentioned this last week when we were talking to the unicorns, the cycles that are closing, they're closing for a reason. We have to focus on what they're bringing in. So what are you making space for? All of your productivity, fixing the assembly line, taking care of business, organizing, you're creating room. Whether that's in your house or in your relationships, it doesn't matter. When the world sees created space, it goes, ooh, and it fills it with something. And you're needing new right now. That's why the purification. You're shedding what doesn't serve, and I know that's hard, but you're creating space for fertility. You're creating space for all these beautiful new things to come into your life. And again, with heavy on the protection. So those of you, again, with a shameless energy mastery plug. Okay, let me just go off on my spiel for a minute here. I am a practicing psychic. I have been practicing for about 18 years. I started young. I've been practicing professionally for over 10 years now. Like heavy on the over 10 years, closer to 15. So, actually, over 15. But it's been a minute. And the reason why I'm telling you that is I'm an open channel. If anybody knows what it's like to suck up negative energy and let it ruin their life, it's me. A channel has to interface. We don't get to just read your field. We have to go in it. Like, we are interfacing with your energy. We are in it, right? It's not just a matter of, like, it depends on how your channel works. But for me, I'm really in it. And I did so many psychic protection courses just to find them really, really effing lacking. Pardon my French. But it was all, coat your aura with a coating of nice stone. And that was it. No, you need cord removal, you need hook removal, you need removals of distortions, you need to feel what's broken on the inside and fix it, because it'll reflect outside. You need to get other people's energies out of your field. There's so much that people don't talk about when it comes to psychic protection. I've built Energy Master to be strong enough for a psychic to use. There are all kinds of things in there. Why? Because I pick up people's energy like nobody's business, and I have to be safe in doing that for my work. So I created these resources for myself. And then I also created so many for clients. Things like breaking the loop could be really useful here. When you have like cyclical thought patterns, or there's something that just keeps showing up in your life. That's for that. So all of the things that are in Energy Mastery are like Reiki experiences, they're activations for some things, they're recalibrations, they're healing sessions. One of those sessions alone would cost you $90 to do with me. But the platform itself has, I think, about 70 audios right now, and I run it for $33 a month CAD. The value is really immense, but also I made it so it's like really easy to just listen to and go about your day. So in the morning, I listen to the morning and night audios, and that like sets up my field. It gets out any hooks and cords. It smooths it out. It releases. It helps the field drain. And before I do psychic work, I have really heavy duty angelic protection. So that is, again, less than 10 minutes. Both of them are 10 minutes. And there's some for before and after your work. So you're not carrying things with you. So if you work in health or if you deal with a lot of heavy energies, it's actually excellent for that. When you're dealing with heavy duty stuff, there's the Solar Fire Shield, which is like a long session, about 40 minutes, that you just have to listen to. None of my stuff is meditations, so you don't have to focus on it. It's meant to just play out and allow you to clear. So there's going to be details on that down below, but you want something that will actually like protect you. And of course, I do all the things like uncrossings and all that kind of stuff as well. Can't talk about that enough, because obviously that matters, but your day-to-day protection will change your life. Your day-to-day protection will take care of you more than almost anything else. So get yourself a good protection routine, especially while you sleep. The one that I created for sleep not only protects you during your sleep, but also it creates safe sleeping patterns in you. It heals distortions in sleeping and sleep cycles and all that kind of stuff. So that's where they wanted to start. Let's see what other messages they've got here. Anything else, fairies? A few things. All right, a few things. Again, take the words out of my mouth. Wisdom, cleansing, and what do we got here? Happiness in reversal. Okay, now these probably don't really read reverse. At least I don't read them reversed, but let's find out what they gotta say. Sometimes you don't see what's messing you up until you clear the debris. You're blind to it because it was created for you to be blind to it. You're blind to it because it served you, so you're not questioning it. I have a mentor that always talks about a mentor she had, and she talks about anything you think is real, you need to be questioning the living shit out of. And I love her for that, because it's so true. Nothing is ultimate truth. Nothing. Nothing. Everything is growing, changing, evolving. Things that were true for you a year ago might not be true for you now, and you're allowed to update your standards, your boundaries, any of that, to flow with that change. That's what we're here to do. We're here to grow. And so that wisdom, it's not just... like, you need to be discerning this week. It's not just check everything out because it's not working. It's what am I not seeing? What am I not learning? Again, with the owl being the animal of this week. If you guys have owl necklaces or anything like that, wear them. Wear them. If you have an oracle deck, carry around the owl card for the week. Really see what that brings you. Tuck it underneath your pillow when you go to sleep at night, right? Things like that. You really want to bring through that discernment and that clarity, and it's not going to be found in your anger. It's not going to be found in your frustration, and it's not going to be found in your sulking either. I'm so sorry to tell you this. Trust me, I love a good bed rot as much as the next girl. If you are confused, you know what you need to do. That's all I'm going to say. You know what you need to do. You've been given the tools. You have to follow through. Follow through with that. And if you need a good, energy purge, again, you know where to find me. I do offer those sessions in person and online. I can just scrub the crap out of your field for you. I can Mr. Clean your head for you if that's what you need. But you need the weight off to process. With all that weight, you can't see through it and see clearly. And it's also going to mess up your intuition. So no wonder you don't know what to do. But heavy on the crown chakra for this. Heavy on the crown chakra and your floors. One thing I found out when I was in the Akashic Records once is there's so much energy stored in your floors that will mess you up. Wash your floors. Wash your floors. If you're feeling mucky and you don't know what to do, wash your floors. Especially with something lemon scented. And last but not least, I feel like you need to know that there are really good things coming. 2333 on my timer. But you need to know that there are really good things coming, despite you feeling like things are so heavy. Cleanse it, get rid of the guck, and it's going to be half the battle. Things like grapefruit, camphor, all that kind of citrusy stuff, that's really powerful right now. And that's really going to help you move things that you don't expect. But whatever comes through for you this week that feels heavy, it actually just needs discernment from you. It's trying to show you something. It's trying to teach you something. So that being said, I will see you next Monday, and I wish you the best of the luck with this week, and enjoy your cleansing because you deserve clarity.